podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.
Wait, something's starting to happen. Something's percolating.
Here it comes.
Oh, I feel it. Oh, I feel a tingling. There's a burning sensation.
Wait, he didn't push the button for you to have any sensations, though.
It's natural.
Well, no, that's a different sensation.
That's a different. Okay, yeah.
That's attached to my seat.
Since Kat's doing callbacks, I'll say maybe it's related to a talcum powder issue.
I
All
do.
right, now we're done. We've completed the cycle. I was waiting for John to do a callback too. And now we can move on with the show. Hey.
I chose the easy button.
What?
So I chose the easy button.
Okay.
It was easy.
Hey.
Thank you.
Wait till Will says hey again, and then we'll interrupt once more.
That was a test. Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture. And it is important. And it continues to be important. My name is Will, and joining me as always are my friends and my co-hosts, Kat and Jon. Hey, guys.
Am I your friend, Will?
Oh.
Am I still your friend?
Oh, wait, what?
Sounds like Kat heard last week's show.
Have you forgiven me for having my 1980s Now experience?
Wait, I see. Oh, I'm trying to put it back on me. Very clever of you. Have you had your fill, or we could expect you to use any more sick days?
That's personal leave, and she earned it.
Yes, thank you, John, because I love how Will suggests that I was somehow showing a lack of commitment
She's looking at
to
notes.
the show as if that's a thing that even exists
Kat
in this
has
timeline.
prepared a statement for you, Will.
Can you imagine being so angry you write it down?
Right. And read it. She didn't just write it down as catharsis.
You're saying I suggested you have a lack of commitment.
Well, also, I love how, I got to tell you guys, this made me laugh. Will questioning my commitment to the show and John naming himself as my enabler really makes me sound like a drug addict.
Oh, jeez.
But
really, what you're addicted to is the nostalgia.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Which brings me to a question I want to answer that I didn't answer very well. A question very well, right? That John asked after my first Duran Duran concert, which was what was my favorite moment. So I was really paying attention this time.
Okay.
And again, it's not one moment. It was the structure of many moments.
Okay.
And it was about connection. It was about how, like all of us there and them on the stage, like we were so connected because like everybody's singing along. Everybody like knows every word, and there's a whole call and response thing. And Simon kept holding out the microphone. And so we're all, doing, and no, and ba.
Wait, what songs are those? Can we play a game here?
Yes, please. Yeah.
What was the first one? Doing?
Okay, I'll do a better job.
Oh, okay, got that.
Yes. Okay. How about the second one?
What was the second one?
I need to hear it again.
No.
What was it?
No.
Notorious?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
And then the last
Ding!
one.
There's no sound effects of this game.
He's looking for it. Yay.
There we go.
The last one might be a little deep cut for you guys. Ba 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 ba.
Got nothing.
Nothing? This
sounds like New York, New York.
Oh, we got it wrong.
New York. Oh, that was amazing. So, but I just want to point out, I felt very supported by John listening to the last episode. Very supported by John.
And
by contrast, how did you feel toward Will after that episode?
Yeah, and
okay. I also felt supported by Will.
Oh, she's
because I realized his consternation came from a place of appreciation.
Yes.
And I felt missed.
Exactly.
And I also did miss you guys. And in fact, what I really wanted to do, I was plotting this. I seriously, around 5:00, I was plotting to take many pictures and spam you guys during the time that you would be recording. But then I remembered, they're interviewing someone. Oh no, I can't mess that up. So I didn't do it. So I was trying to be supportive of the show and not be a nudge.
Well, you heard what John had you doing. You were wearing a GoPro on your helmet and a mosh pit. So
in the Duran Duran mosh pit. Yeah.
Oh,
that would have been
and broken hips and I heard all about that. Yeah. So then I felt a little less supported by John, maybe with the broken hips reference.
Okay, fair. It's fair. That's totally fair.
Well, I guess our real hope is, and after all this, is that you've had enough of seeing them in person, so that you can just be on the show now. And
you're hoping that I've seen enough,
or maybe
hope against hope.
Okay, all right. What am I gonna say?
If there's, last minute addition to if they come to Philadelphia, man, on a Thursday, I'm sorry. If they just,
I'm tossing out so many retorts.
Oh no.
They're coming to him because he's evaluating them, dismissing them as too harsh, and then moving on. And he's yet to come up with one he can use.
Because my wife said to me recently, and she was referring to when I'm in person with Kat.
Okay.
You gotta stop being so mean to Kat. I was like, you mean on the show? She's like, no, like when you're standing 5 feet away from her.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
You're not mean
so
to
I'm
me.
not saying anything. And you know what you said?
Good fun.
You said, I'm used to it. People
I
tease me
that.
all the time or something like that.
I did say something like that. Yeah.
And then I said, well, it doesn't make it right. And I'm going to change it right now. All right, whatever. What are we doing? Is this an intervention for me or for Kat? I have no idea anymore.
John.
Hey, welcome to the 1980s
Yes,
Now
please.
show. We take an objective look at pop culture in the 1980s, etc.
And so on. Hey, speaking of that, on today's show, we're going to be speaking with Brian Volk-Weiss, the CEO of the Nacelle company. And first you're thinking, well, I don't know what either of those things mean, but you know them. And you know Brian's work because they are the producers, creators of the toys that made us, the movies that made us, those fantastic documentaries on Netflix, and many others just like it. And now they're bringing us Icons Unearthed Star Wars, which is a documentary series about Star Wars. And even if you think you know everything there is to know about Star Wars, I guarantee you there's a lot to be learned. I think I know a lot about Star Wars, but I was captivated, fascinated, and part of it's the style in which they tell these stories. But
I love the style of these documentaries.
Yeah.
They're so fun and funny. Yes.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, and I'm curious because Brian's background, I've learned, is in comedy. So I wonder if that informs his this style, this sort of lighthearted nature, which doesn't detract from the the information that you get. Certainly,
Yeah.
No, it enhances it. It absolutely enhances it.
yeah. I'm captivated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what is a spoonful of honey makes the medicine go down, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
It's like stuff that could be. These topics aren't dry, but they could be dry. It could be easily be if you just let's rattle through the facts. But so much of what they do is laced with that little bit of humor and funny sound effects here and there, but not slapstick. It's so tasteful, and I can't wait to talk to him.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes me think that the challenge for them would be do a show about something that would be boring. That I wouldn't want, take a Ken Burns documentary and redo it in his style. And maybe I'd be interested in watching something about, I don't know, the Civil War or whatever.
The national parks.
This was year 2 of Prohibition.
Yeah, exactly.
Still nobody drinking anything.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what
Tune in next week.
What would Brian's take be on that? You know what his take would be? The narrator would be drinking during that documentary.
He would be drunk the whole time.
Yeah, drunk the whole time.
He would be sloshed. Yeah. That'd be great.
The sound bites, clinking, and bar fights, and
Brian, if you hear this, you can use that. No attribution required. Go for it.
Before we talk to Brian, though, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media. In a moment, we're going to be chatting about, the return of a product that will be return of a product that will be terrifying. A return of a product that terrifies us for its sugar content.
Oh,
I don't know that. And I will confess to you how I feel about a new movie trailer that just dropped. I don't know. Whatever. That's what you get on the phone.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. Hey, let's get caught up on 1980s news. Why wait? Why did I even tease what we're just about to talk about? So much pressure.
It was less than a minute ago.
But speaking about that, and up in 1980s news this week, as we learned from the street.com and grocery store aisles, General Mills is bringing back Now you guys read this article. This has got errors in it, right? It's not bringing back 4 classic 80s cereals. It's bringing back 1.
Right.
Because the other 3 have been around every year for, I don't know, 15 years now or something.
Yes, yeah, right. Yeah, they're here and back all the time.
Yeah.
They're seasonal now.
Yes,
right,
yes.
right. You are.
So get everybody else caught up. Nothing. Look, we are suckers for nostalgia. Is why we do the show. Whether it's we're talking about what we love, movies or toys, or purchasing those things. You know, John's got a lot of stuff that he's had or coveted as a child of the 1980s.
Yep.
But there's something about tasting something from your childhood that's, you know, more this is that word again. Transportative?
Transportative.
I don't know. It's transmogrifies. What did John say?
Transports.
Transports. Okay, that transports you. And according
It's
to
transcendent, in fact.
Transcendent, in fact. According to Tom Dixon, who's the chief growth officer at Post Consumer Brands, as he told the Progressive Grocer in 2021, we're seeing that consumers are drawn to tastes that remind them of their childhood and help elicit feelings of nostalgia and comfort. So it's no surprise that while we've got this confusing news about the Choco Taco's potential demise, that other brands are looking to continue to leverage bringing back our favorite treats. And General Mills is doing exactly that, bringing back a cereal that was discontinued in 1982. And I had quite frankly forgotten about, but I bet you John hasn't because he's like an expert on these kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
He may have a
John
box he got from eBay that's still sealed from 1982.
Last year, when they came out with these monster cereals, which we're talking about Count Chocula and Frankenberry and Boo Berry.
Yes.
Now, some years ago, they changed the formula. So even though you said that, you know, hey, it's a taste from our past, kind of, because they changed the formula and it's not quite the same. But yeah, but still Count Chocula is the best across the board.
Yes, agreed.
But what we didn't get for many years, like you said, since 82, was Fruit Brute.
Yes.
Who's the werewolf. And what is the fruit? They actually changed it from the word fruit to spelled, you know, so they didn't have to act like it was real fruit in it. Yes. But he's like a cherry flavored cereal. And we're still waiting for Fruity Yummy Mummy, which has not come back yet. But
what do you got there?
Oh my gosh.
What is
There's
this?
the prop.
A 4-pack of...
This is the box set from the relaunch. So it's got Fruit Brute, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Boo Berry all in a giant. Look at this enormous.
Is that the Monster Mash one where they're all mixed together, or
no? It's a 4-pack. They're all inside of here.
That's
separate
neat.
boxes.
Yeah. When did you get that?
I just about a week ago.
They have it now. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, not in stores yet. I had to order it online because it's not in stores yet.
Okay.
But,
oh my gosh.
I couldn't wait. I'm going to have to compare them because I did a taste test, a video on Gen X Grown Up. And I'm like, let's see what these taste like now. And so I got to do a 4-pack taste test now. So I got this giant one. I wish you guys were here. We could get some milk and some spoons.
So we could A/B them.
I'd crack it open.
John.
Well, I couldn't do the A/B thing.
No.
Because I have to confess something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I've never tasted
any of those.
No.
Get out, Kat. Go watch Duran Duran. Do something else.
We had all manner of junky cereal in our house, but it was like
never did those.
Flakes and Cookie Crisp of all things.
I like Cookie Crisp. Yeah,
Wow.
Cookie Crisp is good.
Not the way I had it, but I would love to have tasted those, and it just never ended up in our house. So,
John, you said they changed the formula. Is it? Do you remember it tasting different? I usually have it every Halloween, Count Chocula in particular. I don't remember it changing, but I don't know how I would necessarily recall.
I don't either, specifically, like you said. So there was a period of time in my life when I wasn't embracing, like I was trying to grow up. You know, it was like probably in the mid 90s, and I'm like, I'm an adult now. Stop playing with toys and crap like that. And I wasn't buying sugary cereals and stuff. And then I realized, you know, probably when I turned 45 or so, I'm like, why am I denying myself all the stuff that I love the most? Yeah. So there was a gap in there where I wasn't like collecting toys and getting my monster cereals and stuff. So somewhere in there, they changed it from the original oat flavor to whatever cardboard it is now. And so it really comes down to how the marshmallows taste. That is what gives the whole cereal its flavor, even though different colors and stuff. And that's why Count Chocula turns the milk chocolatey, and it's delicious. And you drink the milk when you're done. It's like, it's like taking a shot. It's a shot of Jaeger at the end of your night of drinking. It's like, I get a shot of Choco milk at the end of my bowl of chocolate cereal.
Chaser, yeah. I don't remember Fruit Brute. I remember the Mummy one, and I didn't look it up, but I do remember that one.
Fruity Yummy Mummy.
It's funny that you talked about how they changed it to fruit, F-R-U-T-E. But like they still have, Frankenberry and Blueberry. Berry is a word too, right? I mean, there's probably no berries in it. But that's a word that really means a fruit. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not like Frankenberry's his name. He can't help it. It's like if your name was Bob Asparagus, it's like.
There's no asparagus in me.
Right. Exactly. So they get away with that.
Yeah.
But I haven't even cracked this open yet. I'm so excited too.
Wow.
And Fruit Brute is back. I've certainly not tasted Fruit Brute.
Yeah.
Not since 82, even before that. I don't know when that came out, but probably in the late 70s I had Fruit Brute. It's been too long.
Yeah.
I gotta run out and get me some of this.
So the monster cereals were first introduced in 1971, but as we mentioned, Fruit Brute was discontinued in 1982, and although the other 3 boxes have been coming back for, I guess, again, the better part of, maybe 2 decades now, usually around Halloween time because they're monsters. This year we're going to have all 4, and there's going to be a slight twist. That's a high art twist because, according to General Mills, quote, inspired by classic horror film characters, the monster cereals have been fan favorites. And this year, renowned American artist and monster enthusiast Cause was inspired by the vintage styling of the original boxes. And so Cause actually redesigned the look of the boxes. If you're familiar with Cause's work, a lot of it is taking something familiar and putting X's through its eyes and some other and
putting bones in their head for some reason.
It looks like cauliflower
you can
ear.
See,
like.
It is. Yeah, I'm sure there's some artsy-fartsy guy that's like, oh, wow, look, Cause, they've put bones in their head. And it looks really
cauliflower ears.
Not good.
I love cauliflower ear.
It's delicious. Cheese sauce.
For you guys, if you guys don't know, Cause is actual name is Brian Donnelly. That's not a big secret, right? But he's also from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Hey!
And he's lived a block over from me, and he's the little brother of my good friend. And I DJ'd his first communion.
Wait, what?
Brian Donnelly's first communion. I DJ'd that.
This is all true?
Did you?
It's all true, yeah.
Oh.
So, of course, I reached out to them and said, hey, will Brian come on the show?
Wow.
And they were like, we'll get back to you. He's really busy right now.
He's a busy guy.
And they never got back to me. So thanks,
He's
Brian.
busy redesigning Fruit Brute. Sorry, no time for this little podcast.
I just want to say, I gave you a discount on that. Your parents, I gave them a discount.
But Will, we didn't pay for 4 straight hours of Eye of the Tiger. That's the thing. You need variety.
But it was
in
popular
variety.
then.
Mix it up. Sorry. I'm not returning your calls.
All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, just a few days after we did this episode about getting caught up on nearly 3 dozen reboots, remakes, sequels of 1980s TV shows and films, the trailer for Confess Fletch was released. What are your thoughts?
I would watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna make it a big goal.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say, I just gotta go as soon as this comes out. If somebody said, hey, you want to watch this? I'll say, yeah, sure. And I'm sure I will find it funny. But I don't feel like it's a must see.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
I've distilled it down to one word, and I don't mean this derogatorily, but
shit.
Underwhelmed.
Okay.
Underwhelmed. Like I don't know what I was expecting, but this was not enough of whatever that was. Yeah,
Sure.
Just kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, there might be a little humor in it, and they kind of like if it's supposed to be a comedy, show me some funny parts. Is this the funniest stuff you have, or
right?
You
if this is the best of it in the trailer,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
And didn't you say, Will, they went back to the original novels for
That's
this guy? Is that
yes.
right? So maybe they're clean palette, and it's not a slapsticky thing. Not that Fletch was pure slapstick, but I mean, it had components of that. But
sure,
underwhelming. It just was like, oh, okay, it looks like a movie. I mean, I'm sure it's okay, but it didn't grab me.
Right.
How'd you feel about it, Will?
I guess, it's sort of, we talked about this when we talked about the reboots, et cetera. And John, you made a good point about this, like being able to, if there's a way you're able to sort of not compare it to the original, then you're okay in a sense. Like you said, if you've got a spinoff, all right, it's not a direct thing. If it's not a remake,
yeah.
This for me, I guess because they went back to the source material, they're not continuing the Chevy Chase character. I don't even know what that would mean. I feel like clean slate. If I just treat it like a new movie that came out, I knew nothing about it, I'm interested. It's got that Knives Out kind of cozy murder mystery vibe that I'm like really into now. And I can't find enough shows like this.
Yeah.
Cozy murder mystery.
It's a whole category. I didn't even know about it. It's a genre.
The first I heard of it was at your house, actually.
Yeah. I mean, my wife
So you didn't make that up? That's a thing already?
Yeah. My wife reads books in
that's
that. That's
perfect description. I get that. Yeah, I get it.
So Agatha Christie's considered like a classic sort of one like that. Nothing too horrible happens, even though people are murdered. It's not very gory.
they're just dead. Relax.
feel
Part of
kinda-
life.
It's just kind of fun to have sort of solve the mystery together, with the protagonist. So that's what I get. That's the vibe again. And then if that's the case, I'm all for it. And so I don't even know if I mentioned this. And the star, as we talked about before, is John Hamm. But you've also got Roy Wood Jr.'s in there, Marcia Gay Harden. And John Hamm's Mad Men co-star, John Slattery, is back as the newspaper editor. And if you've seen the first film, you know that you're familiar with that character. But one person who does not appear in the film, even as a cameo, Chevy Chase.
Not at all.
And Greg Mottola made a comment that they didn't bring him back because they're doing something new. We're going back to the book. And he said, quote, there's a lot of things Chevy did that aren't in the Fletch books. His style of comedy, his slapstick, all the different names and disguises. We thought it wouldn't be right to steal them.
Yeah.
We reference the original, we pay homage to it, but we really try to balance it halfway between the detective mystery and the comedy, possibly more than the original. So
I like that approach.
Yeah.
I think that's great. They're not just trying to rehash something that already happened.
yeah. When I first asked you about what did you think about it, I thought, well, hey, let me put it on and you guys can watch it and react. How do you guys feel about react videos? Or maybe I should just save this for 1 minute of bitching about shit that's new that I hate.
I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
I think they can be funny, but I'm not addicted to them.
Was that the question?
I don't know.
I'm thinking about earlier when Kat said we said she was an addict. Now she's,
More interventions.
now she's denying things we're not even asking about her possible substance issues. John, do you ever use react videos as a source of anything?
I have watched a couple. Typically it's just, I want to see some youngster's reaction to something in pop culture, music or movie that they've never seen before.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a reaction video on my YouTube channel when the Frogger TV show game came out. I did a reaction to the game show about Frogger.
John, that was my favorite. Because you're like,
really?
hi, Frog. Because you said, oh, there he is. Hi, Frogger.
There's Frogger.
You were talking to him. That was my
in
favorite.
order for a reaction video to be of any relevance, it has to be, the person either has to be of note or interesting enough for me to care what they think about it. Otherwise, just show me the thing.
Yeah.
All right. Because I forgot John does those videos. That's all. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
No, go ahead. Tell us what you have.
I mean,
Go
come on.
crap on them,
This is
please.
and I've said this to my kids before because I see them watching a lot of react videos, or they used to when it was sort of first coming out. Just go do the fucking thing. You want to know what the trailer or how it is, how to feel about it? I mean, why are you watching this guy watch it? Just watch the trailer. Just play the game. Just watch the movie.
But it can be really funny. I think it's a personal preference thing. That one of the ones that I have seen was it two young people watching or listening to Phil Collins in the Air Tonight.
Oh, I've seen that. Part of it, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
me too. Yeah.
And it's actually pretty hilarious because they're like, oh, because they have this strong reaction, they're just kind of, so it can be amusing. I just think it's a personal
So
preference
it's just a
thing.
different form of entertainment.
There are a couple of facets.
Yes.
One of them could be entertainment, like Kat said, and that is seeing someone react to something they've never seen or heard before, and you know what's coming. So you're in on the joke. You get to see it coming. The other is, look, you read movie reviews, you read music reviews.
Yeah.
If a friend goes to see a film, you're like, so what did you think of Everything Everywhere All at Once? You want to know. So if the person doing the reaction is someone for whom you're interested to know what they think about it to help inform your complete picture of it, that's the other reason for it. So I'm guessing your kids are probably watching something for someone with whom they have a connection, even if it's not direct. It's like, oh, I love the things they love. Let's see what they think of this thing. But it's definitely abused because people get instant notoriety and fame by riding on the coattails of like, we're doing Phil Collins and who cares who you are.
That's probably what pisses me off. Right. It's a shortcut creating content. I'll just watch your content.
I think I see what you mean. Yeah, we live in an age of witnessing people's reactions to things. Like social media is just, like, we're always doing that. But it seems like a very focused way of doing that. And it's anybody could do it. Yeah.
Where's the more you know, so I can play it for myself? The end of my soapbox. Hey, the good news for me, I think, is that this is the type of film wouldn't rush. Like Kat said, I'm not going to run out to the theaters to see it, but It's going to be released in theaters and on digital and on demand September 16th. So no matter how you want or prefer to see it, you're going to get to see it at the same time. I'll probably watch it soon after it's released again because I'm I'm starving for this type of cozy murder mysteries.
Cozy murders.
Murder.
It's really the best kind of murder if you think about it.
Yeah, you know, makes you feel all warm and snuggly inside. Yeah.
Curl up with a good book and a hatchet.
Yeah. Oh, John did it. He's the murderer. All right. Hey,
Can't prove it.
That was 1980s news. All right. Hey, take a moment, please. Pause. If you're listening on a platform, a podcast platform, subscribe, follow, whatever they call it there, that helps us get recognized by or found by other folks that are searching for this type of content. Write a review. Give us 5 stars. Do something, will you? For crying out loud.
It's free. The least you could do is scribble a couple of notes about how much fun you're having listening to Will and Kat. Really.
And to a
lesser degree, myself.
Yeah, but don't give us bad reviews because of John. All right, just send them straight to him at his John at Gen X Grown Up.
Straight to me. Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, so hey, in a moment we're going to be speaking with our guest today, Brian Volk-Weiss, who's the CEO of the Nacelle company. God, again, this guy, just such a big fan. You know, and it's, I guess now becoming more familiar with him, having watched interviews and read some interviews with him and seeing him. Just seems like a great guy, and I'm so appreciative that he exists because he's just found another angle to bring to us again or in a new way stuff that we love, that we grew up with. And since they did that, right, there's so many now people trying to copy this style, of the something that made us or.
Yeah, I saw one, I want to say it was like a History Channel or somewhere that was like the secret origin of toys. And it was like, this is like another flavor of the toys that made us. Yeah. And they didn't find that balance between information that's interesting and humor, and they felt more like they were just poking fun at all the people. Like something about the Nacelle company, they've dialed it in, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say about the style they've developed.
It's interesting. You just made me think of something. I've had so many folks to me recommend The Big Bang Theory. You're gonna love it. You love all the stuff they love, and I said, you know what? I haven't watched it, but what I've seen, like on TV commercials a bit, or someone that I know was watching it, is. They seem to be making fun of those characters to me. Yeah. And it bothers me because I love those people that love those things because I'm one of them.
A good friend of mine, I can't take credit for this, but I've watched some of The Big Bang and I've been mildly amused, but he's a deeper thinker than I am. And he said, and he identifies as a geek or nerd, whatever. And he said, I find The Big Bang Theory to be akin to blackface for nerds.
Wow.
Minstrel shows,
right? It's like they're putting on the clothing and the affect of what they think nerd fan culture is, and then using that to make light of and make fun of rather than embracing. Now they do some of the embracing, I guess, but he really sees it as more of a using that culture that has always been put upon and then using those mannerisms and behaviors and things you love to make those people seem goofy and dumb and kind of make fun of them.
Yeah.
So
not all that different than in the 80s having tape on the glasses and the pencil or the pocket protector.
It's a flavor of that.
Yep.
Hey, so on Brian's show, and as I mentioned, look, watch it. Icons Unearthed. You find it on Vice. There's a number of different ways to get it. You log onto the Vice website and it tells you what provider do you have so you can watch it. I watch mine through Hulu. But look, the thing about Brian's show, though, is, again, like I mentioned earlier, not only is the style intriguing and sort of sucks you in with the narrative style of it, you're going to learn something you don't know. I'm telling you right now. You could use it at trivia sometime. Whatever. You're going to learn stuff. Fascinating. But saying all that reminds me that, once again, it's time to play...
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Oh, my.
So, one of the things covered in the documentary that you're going to learn, a minor spoiler here, is that I remember, and I want to know if you guys heard this. When I was a kid, I have a very specific memory. Now, we know memories, you write over them every time you recall them or something, and it gets kind of affected. Being on a city street, just right outside my house on the sidewalk, and me and a friend chatting about how, George Lucas has 3 more movies planned, and he has 3 prequels planned. He already figured it all out. That's why they call it episode 4, because he already has the scripts for 9 other movies. And we believed that. Did you guys hear that when you were kids?
Absolutely. 100%.
No, I never heard that.
No.
No.
Well,
I just knew that Return of the Jedi was coming. Like I knew there was going to be a 3rd movie after Empire. Yeah.
Well, one of the things you find out in a documentary is it's not true that George Lucas, and it's kind of obvious the way they explain the documentary, and you should just watch it, but there's,
Watch it.
There's many reasons, or maybe there's things that you didn't know that will, when you find out about them, you're like, oh, yeah, that can't be true then, right? So what I've got for you here is a few different rumors about Star Wars.
Oh.
Some of them you've probably heard, many you've heard. I'm going to ask you to determine whether or not they're true or false.
Okay. True or false?
Okay.
To the best of Will's knowledge.
To the best of the internet's knowledge. Okay, here we go. In A New Hope, Mark Hamill, towards the end of the film, when he's after he returns after blowing up the Death Star, Mark Hamill accidentally says Carrie.
Oh.
He's just about to embrace her, and you hear Carrie instead of calling her by her character's name.
I tend to go with my gut. Like, that sounds like something that could be real, but I don't remember hearing it before.
Right.
myself.
We've never heard it.
Yeah.
So it's true that we've never heard it.
Yeah.
But is it a true rumor?
I love how you guys take this so seriously. Like, there's money involved. Maybe one of your family members has been captive.
Because when we're wrong, you're going to play the noise, and that's demeaning.
Oh, maybe I should turn the volume of the noise down.
John,
Oh, my life.
is that why you went, oh boy? When
Yeah, like, oh no, what's going to happen again?
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say I think the rumor is true.
Sorry, no.
That's a great
It's actually
reaction.
false.
Okay.
Mark Hamill said
never heard
that that actually that scene, like much of the film, was probably ADR'd. And so there was no chance of him saying it accidentally because he didn't record that actual audio until months or weeks after the production was shut down.
Now, he might have said it in scene, and they covered it up. Maybe it's partially true.
But the thing you hear, it seems to be, and
Thanks,
this is confirmed by the Ben Burt, who's the I'm just amazing sound designer. That again, you're going to learn in the documentary how much of a role he played in elevating this film.
Right.
Yeah.
But Ben Burt confirmed that he believes it was just a cheer. It's like yay instead of yeah or whatever. Anyway, all right. Here's another one.
Okay.
That a rare rocket. Here's the rumor. A rare rocket firing Boba Fett was sold in 1979.
Oh.
Verified. 100% confirmed. Final answer. What? Bull!
It
I've heard
turns
of this
out-
toy.
Yeah, so it turns out
Seriously?
it existed.
Oh,
They
man.
actually created it. In fact, a
Okay.
prototype of it sold in 2003 for $16,000.
It does exist.
But
you worded the
it
question
never
to trick me.
made it. Well, I said it was sold. It was in
I
1979.
know. See, you tricked me by wording. I knew it existed.
It never made it to the shelves because, and this is, I think, where people confabulate these stories. There was a similar Battlestar Galactica ship where they had, what's the
Cylon Raiders?
No, the good guy ship. It's the
Oh, the good guys? Vipers.
Viper, where the Viper actually fired rockets, and it was considered a choking hazard. It got recalled, and this scared off production from the rocket firing Boba Fett.
But technically, someone has purchased the prototype, so it has been
But
sold.
979. I said 979.
You got me.
All right,
You got me on a technicality.
Oh no, another one.
All right. Here's another one. Harrison Ford wanted to kill off Han Solo.
Oh, that is true. That is a true rumor.
Impressive.
Yes, it is true.
Yay.
Now, some people believe that the reason that this is evidenced by the fact that he was frozen in carbonite in The Empire Strikes Back, and in the event that he didn't decide to come back for Return of the Jedi, Lucas could have killed him off. Now, that part is not true. Even though Harrison wanted to be killed off as early as episodes 5 or 6, Lucas would have nothing to do with that, and he knew he was going to keep him around through the third film.
He wasn't letting him leave.
No. Yeah, and Harrison Ford's confirmed that during the press junkets for Force Awakens, where finally he was able to talk about how because spoiler alert, his character does die in that film.
I felt a little sad that he wanted Han Solo to be killed
Yeah.
off.
It feels like it kind of like disrespects us as fans, right?
Right.
I mean, he was my favorite character.
Right.
Here's another one.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Don't sound so
You want me to
excited.
stop? I'll stop.
No,
You got to
keep
lawyer
going.
through the questions, too. Is it
No.
was sold?
Listen, all right, I'll make this as plain as can be. Rubble, there's rubble hidden in space scenes, including a potato and a shoe in the asteroid field above Hoth in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my.
So the effects, the VFX.
Oh, so
guys had
here's
some
the
fun
thing.
there.
Like,
That's
I
funny.
know that to be true. However, I'm checking to go, but was it over Hoth? Like, he's
Oh, okay.
worded
No.
it
All
so
right.
specifically.
All right, in a Star Wars film. All right, make it
He's
broad.
like, actually, it took place over Dagobah.
Maybe it
Future
did.
Robert
Maybe
knows.
it did. Yeah, maybe it did. You're right. Okay, was there ever rubble in? All right, John already said he knows it to be true.
I believe that's true.
Yes,
Impressive.
yes, that is
Oh,
true.
whew. I was sweating that one because I'm like, I know it's true, but what did Will say to make it false? I'm so nervous.
Yeah, in fact, Ken Ralston, one of the legendary folks over at ILM that helped develop ILM, claims that they also hid a yogurt container and his tennis shoe in Return of the Jedi.
What?
All right, how about this? The Wampa attack in Empire Strikes Back was only added after Mark Hamill crashed his car prior to production.
Oh.
So if you remember that Mark had crashed his car in 1977, had to have facial reconstructive surgery.
Yes.
The rumor is that George Lucas added the scene to account for the fact that he looked different now.
Huh.
Have you ever heard
so
that rumor?
interesting. I haven't heard that rumor.
Oh, okay.
I knew about the car crash. I'd never heard the rumor that.
This is another one I remember when I was a kid.
I know the Wampa scene got embellished and they added to it because it was kind of flat and they added some stuff to it. But
I hate that embellishment.
Yeah, but I don't.
I feel like it's a false rumor.
I feel like it's an important part of the film in some form or fashion. The Wampa was probably always part of it. What do you think, Kat?
Yes,
I'm gonna go with it.
right.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, good.
Nice. Nice logicking there. I was just using my gut.
In fact, there's actually a close-up of what Luke looks like of Mark Hamill in the film, even before he's attacked by the Wampa. So if the Wampa is supposed to count for him looking different, we've already seen him at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
All right, and finally, is this a true or false rumor that I don't know if you've ever seen this, but that there's an unusual looking Topps trading card of C-3PO where he looks very happy. Shall we say? His lightsaber looks like it's turned on. Huh. I don't know why this isn't a kid show all of a sudden.
C-3PO?
Yeah, it looks like C-3PO has an erection, a full robot erection.
Robo-erection, we call it.
Robo-erection. And the rumor is that the Topps trading card looks that way because the artist who created it had a grudge with the company. Now I'm going to tell you something, guys. I should show you know what? Let me show you the picture first. Let me show you the picture. Okay. The picture's real. It's a real card.
Oh yeah, it's a real. So I'm sifting through my memories. I know the card is real.
I'm Googling C-3PO erection.
I'm careful. Safe search on is what you want. I think I remembered hearing that it was just like an artifact of the photograph, that it wasn't somebody had a grudge, but I'd never heard somebody had a grudge, so my inclination is to say it was
let me
not intentional.
Oh my goodness gracious! What?
So you see what's going on there?
Yes, I see what's going on there.
All right, so what do you think, Kat? John says,
is that on purpose?
No, it's not what it seems to be. Right? That's what John said.
Right. It's very front and center, though. It's very.
Well, you know how the male anatomy works. I mean, generally it's in the front. And
that's its job.
Fairly centered.
Yes.
I mean, some people say something about to the left or to the right, but that's not about where it's attached.
I have no other images of C-3PO in my head that include that.
All right, yes. You're right. No, the official Star Wars website says that it was actually a drooping piece of robot costume, which is what I refer to my penis as. So that actually doesn't really tell us anything.
Oh my gosh.
Beady. Okay, Buck.
Was that the same? Now that seems to be the sound of. Wait, what was that character's name?
Tweaky.
That sounds like Tweaky masturbating now, right? Now I'm always going to think about it that way. Mel Blanc. All right. Hey guys, this is we managed to have another classy setup right before we bring out a guest. And boy, is his team going to be excited about this.
Speaking of robo-erections.
Yes. All right. Hey,
our guest is here.
He has a history in comedy. I'm sure he'll be fine.
I hope he listens to this.
Pissed. What'd you say, Kat?
I hope he listens to this.
Oh, he's not going to listen. No, but no one ever listens to it.
I wouldn't if I were him.
But a publicist might and be like, all right, he's never going on that show again.
That's done. We need a retraction.
Yeah. Because next time we have him on, I'm going to tell you something about Chewbacca you never heard of.
Don't say anything about Chewie.
I have these photos.
No, don't you do that to Chewie.
Oh, I'm tossing out a bunch of stuff again. All right. Hey, in a moment, we'll be right back with our guest, Brian Volk-Weiss. Special thanks to Atlas Neon for sharing that clip from their latest track, Maverick 2077. For more 1980s inspired synthwave, follow Atlas Neon on Instagram or Spotify. Hey, long before our guest made his mark with 2 hit documentary series on Netflix, he had already produced and directed comedy specials for some of the most popular stand-up comedians of the last few decades. In fact, 21 of the comedy albums produced by our guest have been nominated for Grammys, and 4 of those earned him the coveted award. But we first became aware of our guest's work as the creator of the wildly popular Netflix shows The Toys That Made Us and its spin-off, The Movies That Made Us. And now he has once again brought us a fresh and always entertaining look at another favorite from our childhood. His latest documentary series, Icons Unearthed, Star Wars, is now available on ViceTV through your cable provider. Please welcome to the show the founder and CEO of the Nacelle company, Brian Volk-Weiss. Hey, Brian.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, hi
Great
there.
pleasure. My goodness, there's so many things we could talk to you about. We love the toys that made us, the movies that made us. And now, of course, we're going to talk to you about your latest documentary series, Icons Unearthed, which focuses on Star Wars, at least this time around. I suspect there may be other.
Yeah, season 2 already picked up. The Simpsons.
Very good.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, comes out in October.
That's great.
Had to be
Awesome.
something that we've loved from our, youths. Now I note though look that now that you certainly in the last several years have been focusing on these bits of history from our youths, but your career is many years of working in comedy, working with comedians. How is it was what you're doing more often today? Because I know you're still doing some of that work. What you always wanted to do, or is it something that you or how did you find your way there if it wasn't, I suppose?
So it's a little crazy, but and again, I can prove this because one of the things in the Star Wars, and by the way, I'm just using this organically. I'm not trying to bring the conversation back to Icons, but I swear to you, I'm not. But one of the things, if anyone watches the show, you'll notice repeatedly, Marshall Lucas is kind of making the joke like, I never heard George say anything about 9 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
I never even heard him talk about 2.
Oh my gosh,
So,
yes.
I'm very mindful of not, I don't want to, my point is what I'm about to say, I can prove.
Okay.
You can look at interviews I've been doing for the last 15 years. You can look on Instagram. This is provable because it may seem crazy, but it is true. A lot of people come out here to become a director. By here, I mean Los Angeles.
Sure.
To become a director or a writer or an actor or whatever. I always came out here to build a studio. That was always my goal. My high school yearbook, like I mentioned it, like that was always the goal. Mm-hmm. And I've always been an amateur historian about Hollywood. So I understood how the studios built themselves. And there were certain not business models, but I couldn't replicate what Walt Disney did because Walt Disney had Walt, and I ain't Walt, to put it mildly. So I couldn't replicate what Walt Disney did. And I'm not going to sit here and explain to you why every studio I could do X or I couldn't do Y. But the story that caught my attention, and this is in high school, by the way, the story that caught my attention was what Warner Brothers did. And what Warner Brothers did that most people have long forgotten was, Warner's, these 4 brothers literally bought another company and it was this guy named Max Sennett. And the Warner Brothers bought Max Sennett's company. Max Sennett owned a lot of things. The thing you may have heard of was the Keystone Cops.
Yeah.
And the Keystone Cops were these short films that came out before the movies. And like I said, it wasn't just the Keystone Cops. It was hundreds of these short films. And the Warner Brothers that would exist probably, I guess I would argue, by the late 1920s or mid 1930s, where they were actually making movies. And the studio that is now directly related to the Warner Brothers that's putting out Batman movies in 2022, that studio was built on that Max Sennett library.
Wow.
So I knew coming out to Hollywood, I would have to build a library. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to do it. Like I had no idea, but I had the idea that I knew I had to build a library. So that's Exhibit A.
Your Honor.
If it please the court.
As I ramble for an hour, I apologize. Exhibit B, which I promise you will be a lot shorter, is I completely randomly fell into stand-up comedy. Like I've loved Star Wars since I was 3. I literally went to one stand-up show in my life before I graduated college, and I was like dragged to it kicking and screaming, and I left early. But what I realized, I randomly ended up at this tiny company that only managed comedians, and I just needed a paycheck. I mean, I was broke. That's why I took the job. Like it literally had nothing to do with anything. This was all random. And I went to the comedy club and I saw the comedians doing their thing. And like I said, I just needed a paycheck. And then that company made a stand-up special. And I suddenly was like, this could be my Keystone Cops. So over time, I built a stand-up comedy library. That stand-up comedy library, between the ones we made and the libraries we've acquired, I mean, it's now over 2,000 stand-up specials that generate money every day because we're a distributor now too. The money from that is now funding Icons Unearthed. So we own Icons Unearthed. We license it to companies like Vice or in Germany, ProSieben, whatever. So same, we put a show out last year called The Center Seat, 55 Years of Star Trek. Same thing. So the idea is, you saw it?
I saw it twice. Yes, I loved it.
So it's the exact same model where we license that. And thank you for watching. And thank you for that clap. But so we are using the same model with the stand-up specials on our documentaries. And then the next step 3, which hopefully will be coming next year or the year after, we'll be doing scripted films and then scripted TV using the exact same model we were using with the stand-up specials. Will, you asked this question, not me. So
I'm regretting
if
it.
I'm going on too long, it's your fault. But I'm jealous of your hair. So that's my payback.
Everybody is. It's not just you.
I'm just rambling now to torture you because you have a good head of hair. But my point, I'll call you Reed Richards from now on. But my point is, it was, don't take this the wrong way. Like I love stand-up. I'm addicted to it now. I have an entire collection of stand-up comedy memorabilia going back to 1909. But I always knew it was the first step to what was hopefully coming. I think I talked for 12 minutes straight. I apologize.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. In conclusion, so when you said about starting a studio, and your interest in history that goes back, I was thinking you were going to say your goal was to do the stand-up was to do what you're doing today, fund what you're doing today. But so your goal when you left high school then was to do scripted work ultimately.
I wanted to build.
Yeah, just a yes or no.
What's that?
Just a yes or no.
I mean, the answer is yes, but I mean, I wanted to try to build Warner Brothers. That's the goal.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Now you may not want to tell us. Maybe you can't tell us, but knowing what what you did not too long ago with the Toyfinity, with the license for RoboForce, is the scripted work going to be involving licenses from properties that we grew up with?
Absolutely, we are.
Yes.
All right. That's good news.
We are actively developing RoboForce as a TV show where.
Wow.
We've actually already sold. We did a deal for a very well-known piece of IP. We actually sold it, and then there were legal problems with the company we had gotten the rights from, where they apparently may not have owned the rights. Had that thing not happened, you would already be aware we had set up an 80s property at a major network. We are very close to we're negotiating a deal right now with a major studio that if the deal closes, and it's a jump ball, but if the deal closes, that'll be the first time we've taken a piece of IP you've heard of that literally hasn't seen the light of day in 40 years.
Wow.
And it's now set up at one of the most powerful entertainment companies on earth.
Wow. That is super exciting.
That's the plan for day one.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, we'll have to wait anxiously to. So I suppose you have a question, John?
No, I was just hoping it was the greatest American hero, but that was it.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's a good one.
That is spoken for, unfortunately.
I know. Yeah. That's been in development hell for so long.
Yes.
well, I have a list here, Brian. I'm just going to name a bunch of things from the 80s and see if I can get a read from you.
I was going to make a joke, but I get in trouble for that.
Oh, no.
Well, you may reveal too
Not
much.
make
Okay. Blink if I get to it. All right. All right.
Raise your coffee
So,
cup.
look, one of the things we love about your documentary series is that, and thinking about the Made Us series and in the Icons Unearthed as well, is the sense of humor that's throughout it. Is that
my gosh.
related to your love of
it.
comedy?
Yes, 100%. So I tried to sell toys that Made Us for 7 years, and I couldn't sell it. It was the most unbelievably lucky thing in the world. There was a guy at Netflix named Devin. Devin was the guy I did stand-up comedy deals with, and he was in the acquisition department. Because like I said, we don't sell our content, we just license it. One day, and we had become friends, like real friends. Like his wife and my wife became friends. We'd hang out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's relevant because he had been to my house and seen my toy collection.
Oh.
Which, fun fact, that toy collection when he came to my house was probably, let's go crazy and say it was 600 pieces.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
this Toys That Made Us was greenlit, and today is now probably close to 3,800 pieces.
Wow.
So I blame Devin. My wife blames Devin. If Devin's listening, damn you, Devin. But actually not damn you, Devin, because Devin calls me up one day and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm now in charge of Unscripted for Netflix. Do you have any ideas?"
Wow.
And the reason I rambled about him coming to my house was because Will's like, he's going off topic again.
You don't have to justify yourself, Brian.
Nope.
I was worried.
Go
ahead.
We'll take care of Will. You do.
But no, Will would be right to be scratching his beautiful head of hair. But the reason it was relevant was I had been trying to sell the show for 7 years. The reason most people didn't buy it, first of all, people didn't understand toys, how popular they were, which is really weird. But just looking at the dollar amount of what they generated per year, I don't know why anyone could doubt people like toys.
Yeah.
The main problem was I was viewed as a comedy guy and a stand-up comedy guy. So it was like History Channel, understandably, and both History Channel and Nat Geo were millimeters away from buying it. And both of them didn't buy it because why would we give millions of dollars to the stand-up comedy guy, like to do a show about toys? So that guy, Devin, because he saw my collection, which from his point of view, the way executives look at this, I was an expert, which I was.
Yeah.
Not really, not compared to most toy collectors, but from his point of view, he's a big basketball sports guy. But from his point of view, I was a toy expert, and he knew me and he trusted me. And we were literally the first or second Netflix greenlight of all time. And by the way, season 3 of Netflix is the first pickup in unscripted Netflix history. Movies That Made Us is the first spinoff of any kind in Netflix history.
Wow.
And I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this to make the point.
Yeah.
We got there early. And we were there early because of the stand-up comedy entree. So back to Will's question. When the show got greenlit, after 7 years of trying to sell it, I had that cliched moment of, oh shit, now I gotta make it.
Oh my gosh.
So to quote the classic film, Silence of the Lambs, you remember the big clue at the end of the movie that Hannibal gave Clarice that allowed her to put the puzzle together. You covet what you see every day.
Mm-hmm.
So who do I hire?
Right.
I only knew comedy people. So I hired the people I knew, and that's exhibit A again. Yeah. Exhibit B, I don't know, I must be in lawyer mode today. I'm not a lawyer. But the other thing that happened was I am a huge, since college, documentary buff. Like I would see when it was hard to do like 10 documentaries or more a year in movie theaters in the 90s. Like I was that guy.
Yeah.
That is weird.
And one of the things I noticed was there were so many documentaries about fun topics that treated them like the rise and fall of the Third Reich. And they're like, we're not the first company to make a documentary about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or He-Man. I'm not shitting on those other docs, but if you watch them, like just listen to the music. You're literally watching a documentary about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's like bum bum bum. I'm like, so as soon as we got greenlit, I was like, yeah. And by the way, the other thing I need to mention, Netflix, they literally were like, let's greenlight 300 shows simultaneously. So I truly, when we started delivering cuts, I have always wondered if people there were like, did we order this? like, God, I mean, and that's the long way of saying we got no notes. I mean, we got nothing.
Really?
So all of this is important because I had a lifetime of not wanting to take a fun topic and make it serious.
Yep.
I had a network with unlimited resources not paying attention to me. And it was like literally the billionth of a millimeter of the explosion of Netflix becoming Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it all came at the same time.
This is going to sound like I'm blowing sunshine up your skirt, but really is a question. And we'll ask about, the humor, which is so important that you were just speaking to.
Yeah.
But there's something else that I hope you can, this is clearly intentional, and maybe it's because of, your history as a toy collector. But in addition to the humor, you walk this fine line between humor and reverence. Nothing is poking fun, whether it's the Star Trek doc or the movies, the toys, which I loved, which, by the way, I'm like, what's in the next toys season? I'm not watching Barbie. I love the Barbie one, even the one I don't have a personal attachment to. Right. That the entertainment value between humor and reverence and never poking fun, but letting you in on the joke. How do you find that balance? It's amazing. That's why I love all your work.
First of all, again, thank you. It's still very weird to hear people say that. But I'm very serious. We don't call it. So first of all, there are two answers. Apparently everything in this interview
compares.
So answer one, we don't pick topics that we're not excited about. So I probably shouldn't
say that seems evident,
but I've said it already at other interviews, so I'll say it here. Because I get asked a lot, are you going to do more episodes of Icons Unearthed for Star Wars? My answer is, if I could do Rogue One,
yes,
the good ones,
yes,
Force Awakens, and Solo,
Solo,
yes,
yeah.
But I wouldn't do a documentary about Last Jedi.
Or Rise.
I wouldn't do a documentary about Book of Boba Fett. Because we don't punch down. And that's a stand-up comedy expression. Like I learned that from my comedy background.
Right.
We don't punch down. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I appreciate you using the word reverence. The word we use is, so everything has to be about comedy. And I am the least artsy fartsy dude you'll ever meet. I'm I mean, I'm a McDonald's, Waffle House kind of guy in every category. But for whatever reason, this is an artsy fartsy word that really resonated with me since high school. Pathos.
Yeah.
It's all about pathos.
Yeah.
And just to make sure nobody starts to think I'm an artsy fartsy guy, let me tell you my version of how we use pathos. I call it the RoboCop. And now I'm telling you this, you will see this in every show we make.
Okay.
Like I'm giving away the magic here. Do you remember the scene in RoboCop where as RoboCop, he goes back to his old house and it's completely empty and it keeps flashing back and forth between him as the Frankenstein monster, a 2-ton piece of metal, and his wife in a bathrobe, kissing him, his kid looking up to him. Like that's sometimes it's less subtle than other times. But if you watch the Star Wars episode of Toys That Made Us, I mean, they could sue us for stealing that scene. I mean, it's because if you remember, because I'm sure you watch it every single day, we cut back, we filmed in the old Kenner building that's now an empty, deserted floor in the Kroger building in Cincinnati. And by the grace of God, a lot of these people that worked there took a lot of pictures of the office. So we were able to literally fade between our footage and their footage while we had two of the people that were there walking literally right out of RoboCop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Oh my gosh.
we're not always that literal. And by the way, watch the RoboCop movies that made us. I mean, it's like, what do the kids call it now? What is that, meta?
Yeah.
Meta.
Yes,
Yeah.
Meta.
We literally did it with Ed Newmeyer. Ed Newmeyer's walking through the office space where they filmed the conference room scene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway, so it's not always literal, but it's in everything we do. If you watch Behind the Attraction, the show we do on Disney Plus about the parks, watch the end of the Small World episode where we basically we use the song as this device that takes us from the 60s up until 2019. And that cast member, who ironically, her last name is Batu. That's the name of the planet from Galaxy's Edge. But her singing, we used to build a RoboCop moment out of what do you call it? Out of Small World.
Small World. Yeah.
So that one's an example of a less subtle version. But if you ever find yourself crying at anything we make, that's what we're doing.
I only cry when they're over, but I get what you're saying.
More. Encore.
It's like time travel. You're time traveling our feelings.
That's what we're trying to do. Because what we're trying to do is, and that's why we called the show The Movies That Made Us or The Toys That Made Us, because, and I don't think this is narcissism as a society. I think it makes sense. Like, we want to connect the topic of our show to you. Like, we don't want to be like, hey, you need to respect this movie because it's good. We don't do that. That doesn't work. We want to show you. And it's so funny, John, you made a comment that it's so interesting where you said earlier, like, I skipped the Barbie episode and then I went back and I loved the Barbie episode.
Yeah.
So when Toys came out, season 1, we got thousands of comments like that.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
About 6 months later, we started getting, and again, season 2 hadn't even come out yet. We started getting comments. It literally was about 6 months later. One day we got 1, the next day we got 2, the next day we got 6. And then it started being thousands of people saying, yo, I skipped Barbie. Big mistake. First of all, it might be the best episode. Second of all, you will like the He-Man episode better if you've seen the Barbie episode.
Yes, because they're intertwined in many ways, aren't they? In history. Yeah.
I mean, we always intentionally create arcs that it's very manipulative. We're trying to get you to watch the whole series.
Right.
But the other reason, going back to what I was saying about the blank, blank, blank that made us, I never owned a Barbie fucking anything until I made the show. And now I
3,000 Barbies.
I have at least 10 Barbie dolls now.
Yeah.
So I try to do for the audience what it did for me, where I want you, if you're the biggest Barbie fan, I want you to like the episode. If you don't give a shit about He-Man, and that happened to me too. I didn't own any He-Man, anything. I didn't even want to do the episode. The crew literally took me aside and at a meeting and were like, Brian, we have to do He-Man. Here's why.
Yeah.
And I always make the joke that, like, because I do a lot of press, I'm viewed as a toy expert. And for most people, yes, I'm a toy expert, but there are real toy experts, and I am not one of them. So my crew, a lot of them were toy experts. So they broke it down to me why it's important to do He-Man. So when we were making He-Man, and same thing with Barbie, I am looking for a moment, and I call it a spinal column moment. I am looking for a moment that I don't care if you are the biggest He-Man fan alive, or if you're like me and you wanted nothing to do with He-Man, that you would see that and be excited about. And by the way, now I have over 100 He-Man figures in my collection. And that moment in He-Man was when the guy said, just put a fucking saddle on it.
Yeah.
Like that, and it didn't surprise me that line became famous, because I understood immediately when I heard it, it symbolized He-Man. And not only did it symbolize He-Man, it was something that anybody can relate to, which is the randomness of success. Everything about He-Man was so Barbie was about Ruth Handler. Ruth Handler was, and again, everybody can relate to a strong underdog, what I like to call a nobody from nowhere, which was originally used to describe President Grant. So Ruth Handler was a nobody from nowhere who literally, and again, not to get all whatever, but at a time when there weren't too many women running shit, not only is a nobody from nowhere, builds depending on what year it was, the biggest or the second biggest toy company on earth. And it was just, that's what we got everybody hooked on. Not that she was a woman, not that it was like, oh, Barbie sometimes wore pink, sometimes she wore blue. And again, with He-Man, it wasn't about sometimes he used lasers, sometimes he used swords. We found these human moments that anybody could relate to. And that's, I think, what you're referring to, John. At least from our point of view.
You nail it. It's the personal stories that are behind the things that you kind of thought you knew. Or in the case of Barbie that I didn't care about. And I'm like, well, now I do care, or now I do know. And if I loved it, I love it more after seeing your pieces. And if I didn't, I have a new respect for it that I never thought I would have. And it's remarkable. That's what we,
and by the way, by the time season 2 of Toys came out, literally the day of the premiere, people were like, I just watched season 2. It's awesome. And don't be an idiot and skip My Little Pony.
Don't skip My Little Pony. I didn't. I learned my lesson.
And then when Movies That Made Us came out, it was already, this was the best thing ever. Don't skip Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing was my favorite episode. So it really is this. My wife isn't into any of this shit. Like, she's not a geek. She's like, I'll never forget. She was, when we were dating, she was like walking through the room. I was watching some, of course, Next Generation. And she was like, did he just say Kardashian? Like, that's me and my wife. So like, I try to make these shows so that she could sit next to me and enjoy them. So that, and again, if there's anything that, I don't know if this is true or not, but if there's any special sauce that we have, it's I'm always trying to make it so it works for the crazy fans and it works for someone who doesn't know anything about it.
Well, and I suppose pivoting to Icons Unearthed here.
Thank you.
I also want to mention you do a great John impersonation. Don't skip My Little Pony. You idiot. That's perfect. But talking about Icons Unearthed, to be quite honest with you, I thought, what more could a Star Wars nerd like me learn? And there was a lot more. First of all, like you said, it's evident how you everything's a narrative story. So, starting off the first episode with George Lucas was a boy, when the second episode, Marcia Lucas, sucked me in. And then there's so much more to learn. I couldn't even believe it. And along those lines, many, many episodes ago, we talked about Marcia Lucas, who's like this unsung hero of the Star Wars films. And I think you notice, Empire is one of my favorite films of all time, but Empire, then Jedi, you notice, and then the prequels, something changed, from Star Wars. How did you, but Marcia Lucas has been, not only is she sort of, Lucas is sometimes, maybe you don't want to say this, but not credited, that's not the right word, because I need a word for doing something bad, but essentially changing or writing her out of history. How did you get this woman who otherwise hasn't really participated in these documentaries to do an on-camera interview?
So, basically, if you look at the credits of episode 6 of Icons Unearthed, and you look at the credits of season 1 of Toys That Made Us, they're probably 60% the same, maybe 70%. So we've been in production for 6 years now straight, making shows like this.
Yeah.
So we have a great research team and we have a great casting director. And casting director, I hate that term in documentaries because this isn't really about casting. But anyway, she finds people. And the thing about making shows like this, now that we've been doing it for a while, who they are in the pecking order of Hollywood is almost 0% relevant as to if they will do our show or not. Okay. Sigourney Weaver for the Aliens episode couldn't have been easier. Getting the second AD of Aliens, we failed to get him. Yeah. So with Marcia, what happened was we were interviewing, and I don't want to get it wrong. It wasn't John Dykstra, but it was one of the ILM special effect guys, and I don't want to get it wrong. But it was one of them. It was one of them, and we had interviewed him before, like 3 or 4 times for other shows. So at the end of the interview, he's taking off his mic and he's like, "Hey, who's your white whale this time?" And I'm like, "Well, of course, Marcia." He's like, "Oh, I know Marcia. Who are you talking to?" And we were like, "Oh, we're talking to the agent and the manager and da-da-da," but not the manager, but whatever, lawyer, whatever. He's like, "Yeah, no, you got to talk to so-and-so." We're like, "Who's so-and-so?" He's like, "Doesn't matter. Here's her number."
Wow.
So
nice.
It took about 2 weeks of back and forth. And then one day I woke up, it was a Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I was scheduled to fly to New York that day at 3 p.m. And I woke up, I look at my phone and I have an email that says, Marcia has agreed to do it. She's available tomorrow and for the next 9 days. At 2:00, I was on a flight to Hawaii, which is where she was. Because with people like her, you don't fuck around.
No.
I wanted her people to know. Yeah. We just booked a plane ticket.
Yep.
The plane just took off.
Right. No backing out.
You cancel now. There's
this is happening.
You're fucking someone over. So 6-hour interview. Literally 6 hours. Wow. I had like a U-shaped ring around my collar, soaking wet from tears. It was, and to your point, this is not an opinion. It's a fact. She was written out of Star Wars history by the grace of God. I'm not divorced. I've never been through a divorce, but as with everybody who's never been divorced, I got a lot of friends who have been divorced. That's not a pleasant experience. Right. So again, is it cool that George Lucas excommunicated and erased this editor? If you look at her as just an editor,
Yeah.
Is that cool? No, it's horrific.
Yeah.
Right.
You ever talk to somebody who didn't want to get divorced and their spouse left them?
Yeah.
They're usually pretty broken people.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm not defending what George did. It was wrong. But I understand where he was coming from. And, again, it's in the show. If you've seen the show, you've seen it. But listen, I didn't ask her out straight up, do you still love him? That's not the kind of show we make. But, obviously, there's still a connection.
Sure.
And she confirmed a lot of rumors. That's one of the biggest compliments we get, and the most frequent is, yes, you had a lot of new information, but you also confirmed a lot of things that have been rumors for 45 years.
Right. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And by the way, I feel bad for him because Marsha gets all the credit, but Howard Kazanjian gives away equal amounts of scoop. Like and I'll be completely honest with you, I forgot, I didn't even notice that myself. And then a guy who I barely exaggerate when I say makes me look like I've never even heard of Star Wars. He pointed that out to me. And he's like, listen, you have every right to be proud of getting Marsha. And Marsha had mind-boggling nuggets of knowledge, but don't forget Howard, because he dropped some shit that was like mind-blowing. And the thing that is funny, I guess they call it bittersweet, but we got that story first, that Fox was trying to get rid of the end battle. And then, of course, the A+ brilliant Disney Plus ILM documentary.
The Light and Magic, right?
They had that story.
Yeah.
They had that story too, but we beat them by 6 weeks.
Woohoo.
But the irony is nobody has known that story for 45 years. Yeah. And then we broke it 6 weeks early. But yeah, anyway.
I love all of the visuals and sound bites and the clips that are incorporated into it, for each topic. And even the sounds like the, it's like a film slowing down.
Right. Bad
it's
news
like
is
you
coming.
think, it's hilarious. And your documentary about editing is extremely well edited. and the narrator's voice, like,
we didn't even mention that. Michael Pennington, Star Wars royalty.
This day and age, what I'm about to say, it's so cliched, and I'm always trying to find a way to say this so it doesn't sound cliched. And unfortunately for everybody, the best way I've learned to do it is to ramble with the preface that I'm not saying this lightly.
All right, Exhibit A.
That's a good callback. Obviously, doing interviews like this, I can't sit here with 20 people.
Right.
I am a part of a team.
Yes.
And that's why I go out of my way to say, if you look at our credits now, it's more than half Ben Frost, Alyssa Michak, Robin Henry, Ian Romaine, Brenda Carlson. Like what you just described, Kat, I didn't, like one of the biggest moments from Toys That Made Us is the guy going bong, bong in the He-Man episode.
Right.
I didn't notice that.
Okay.
That was an editor named Nick Farrell. So it's very important to me to make this point because I see these people, I talk to these people every day, and it's not fair to them that when someone like you, Kat, makes a comment like that, for me to just nod and smile and say, oh yeah, thank you. I have very little to do with that. I give notes, I add jokes, I do my part, don't get me wrong, but there is an army of very talented and very funny editors that I am standing in a group photo of.
Right on. No doubt. Please tell them my comments.
I think
it's a great experience watching.
We'll send them your compliments.
I think, Brian, in another 40 years, we're going to have the documentaries that made us, and we'll find out who really made your shows look good, because it wasn't you. Who's your
I just
Marshall
named
Lucas?
a lot. They should listen to this interview because I just I just named the names that should speed up their research.
Right,
There we go.
Very good. Hey, we want to thank you for your time today. And again, folks, I appreciate the update on that. But we're going to tell folks to certainly to run out there, find out how they can watch us on Vice. I watched it through Hulu. Icons Unearthed, Star Wars. Thank you so much, Brian, for your time today.
And again, because you've done a better job than me plugging my own show.
Yeah.
We were picked up for season 2 in The Simpsons. Icons Unearthed Simpsons is coming out in October.
Oh, really? Oh, soon. Okay. Another thing that began in the 1980s, too. All right. Very good.
That's right.
Yay.
But thank you. This was a lot of fun.
We could have talked to Brian for, I don't know, hours. And not just because he's a very verbose fellow, which I appreciate because, boy, he's got a lot of info, a lot of experience, a lot of history, but so many things that he's been involved in. I just want to learn more about and praise and,
Yep, I enjoyed his delivery of all that information.
Yeah.
That was great.
I realized I should have said Exhibit A. He knows a lot, has a lot of experience. Exhibit B, he produces great content. All right, speaking of producing great content, our show is brought to you every week by some people.
Like our early adopters, Kathy Burke, Rick Parker, and Karen Flieger. And thanks especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters, John Henderson, Craig Coletta, John Kaminsky, and our newest supporter, Marcus Taylor.
Woohoo! Welcome, Marcus. Thank you.
So wonderful. A vacuum was created when John joined the show, and Marcus just stepped right in. And I
Picking up the slack.
kind of want to say that Marcus also won trivia this week, but
He did.
it's going to seem like the fix is in. Because
It's already seemed like that a couple of times.
I was going to say, I've observed that, folks that listen to our show tend to win. The game is not rigged. It's just either they're learning stuff on the show or they just, the kind of folks who appreciate our kind of content know a lot about the 1980s.
Or are the kind of folks who know their pop culture trivia and appreciate $50 when they see it.
Like your mom?
What about your mom? What did you say?
Sorry.
Beady, beady, beady,
I don't
beady,
know.
beady.
It just felt like a good time for your mother joke.
Hey, enough with the mothers. Enough with the mothers, eh?
All right. Hey, next week we will not be talking about your mom, but we will be back with other content that'll help you succeed on a 1980s trivia. When we talk to you again next time on 1980s Now.
Next time.
Bye-bye.